Hey everybody, today I just wanted to show off a new auction purchase. Last week I picked this fella up. I have a drill press. I showed it in one of my previous videos, a shop tour, which I actually should do an updated shop tour because things have changed a bit over the last year or so. But my drill press I have now is just a skill from, I believe I picked up at Lowe's or Home Depot. It's a decent, it's an okay drill press. It's okay. Probably $150 drill press. I don't remember what I paid for it. Bought it way back when I first started my shop in my apartment. It was actually one of the first tool purchases I made. Short of my hand tools that I had from when I was a teenager. But saw this in an auction. I'll be honest, it was about 30 minutes away. The auction company I buy through, they do a lot of online auctions, and they do a couple tool auctions every month. This just happened to be an it's kind of a big electrical construction company that was selling off a lot of their tools they didn't really use anymore. A lot of odds and ends stuff. This ended up being the only thing I bought. I was bidding on about a half dozen things. But this is what I really wanted anyway, so it made it worth the trip to go pick it up. What this is a Delta Shopmaster DP350. That's the model number. Didn't really know much about this particular model. I never really owned any Delta tools. I know a lot of woodworking tools are made by Delta. But what appealed to me about this was this little control right here. Rather than being the way the skill works, the way most the smaller, cheaper drill presses work, is there's two sets of pulleys, one on the motor, one on the spindle. And you swap the belt around different pulley positions to get different speeds. That's great if you can flip that lid, if you can reach in there and you can change belts. I can't do any of that. Even if I could reach in there, my little quad paws aren't going to change the belt. So I had it in the middle position and I just ran it. I've burned up little drill bits from not spinning fast enough. I've burned up big drill bits from spinning too fast. So what this is it's a variable speed with this control knob on the front. It's marked 500 and 3100 RPM, so in theory that's the range it'll run. I have a little optical tachometer that I'll throw on it sometime once I'll mount it up and see. And I'll probably put little marks along here because it's only marked at 500 and at 3100. So I'll probably put little marks on there so I know in between, look at a drill chart and be like, all right, I'm running a 3/8 inch drill. I need to run it at X RPM for this material, dial it in and hit go. So I paid $100 for it, $105 I think after auction fees and taxes. Brand new. I looked them up. They're discontinued now, but it looks like they went for $250 to $300. Looks like about $270 was pretty much retail price on them, which is actually very reasonable I think for this drill press. I actually think that's a very, very reasonable price. It's a little bigger than the one I have now. It's got a bigger horsepower motor. It's got a bigger chuck. It's got a little more height to it. I think I'm going to be able to still reach and operate everything, put in drill bits and stuff. Wait and see on that. I'm a little bit concerned that it might be a little too tall. I could always cut some of the column off and reset it, but I think it's going to be okay. I actually think it's going to be all right. Got it home, plugged it in, hit the go switch. All I heard. So I was a little worried when I picked it up. All the 6 screws on this top cover that's missing were loose. And I actually asked the guy from the auction, I said, hey man, they tell you anything about this drill press if it works or not? And he's like, nah man, we just sell this stuff, I don't know. So, well, all right, I'll take it home. Worst case, got to throw a new motor on it or something. Maybe just needs a belt. We'll see when I get home. Brought it home, did that, like I said, so went online, dug around a little bit. I thought it was probably the start capacitor. Wasn't sure. The big hump on the back of the motor is start capacitor. Went online, a lot of guys were saying, oh, if these have been used in dusty environments, you got to pull the backside of the motor and actually clean the start windings. And I'm like, ooh, that sounds like a lot of work. Went on Amazon, $12 for that start capacitor. Bam, bought me a start capacitor, threw it in, solved the problem. So for $12, now I'm $115, $117 into this drill press. Got myself a nice drill press. Everything works. So I'll show a shot from this angle of it running and how you rotate this to change the speed. And then I'm going to try getting the camera to down shot so you can actually see how this setup works. Anybody who's familiar with a snowmobile clutch is very similar to that, except instead of centrifugal force changing the clutch width, you change the clutch width with this lever. There's a warning on the front of these. This is on every tool that has a similar setup, bridge forks, big drill presses. Do not rotate this handle unless machine is running. And that's because you end up with a bunch of play in the belt if you do, or you can actually damage it if you go the wrong way. So with that said, you'll be able to hear the tone of the spindle speed change as I rotate through here. And then once I do that, I'll move the camera and try shooting down and give you a little sky view of what's actually going on inside of here. The only other thing I did was actually I put a little bit of grease on the little cam that actually operates inside of here. It was a little bit gunky and put a little grease on there so it's a little easier to spin. It's not bolted down to anything, so hopefully, it looks like it's sitting pretty solid. I have to kind of smack this with my hand to get it to go all the way around. Right now it's still a little bit rough with the rotation. But I don't think you want to move too easy or it could actually walk itself to a faster or slower speed while it's running. So I think you need a little stiction there, so it'll be a fine line. Once this thing's bolted down on the bench, it won't be a big deal at all. So without further ado, So before I actually end the video, I just wanted to briefly explain what's actually happening to change that speed. You probably can see in the video, it should be on the left side of the screen is the motor, the right side is the spindle where the chuck goes on the other end. And what's going on there is actually on the motor end, there's a spring that's a preset pre-tension spring that controls basically belt tension. That keeps the belt tight. And on the front side, on the spindle end, this lever rotates a cam mechanism that runs a little linkage underneath the pulley. The top side of the pulley stays where it always is, and as you rotate that cam, the lower side of the spindle pulley drops. So basically you take a pulley and you normally have like your V-notch and then you have a flat on the bottom. These are two separate halves. So as you rotate that handle, that pulley spreads apart, so the belt goes farther into the groove, making a smaller radius. Same thing. So on the back side, what happens is as you rotate this, that's why you may have noticed in the video, like it really was a lot harder for me to slow it down than it was to speed it up. When you're speeding it up, you're rotating this thing clockwise. It's actually making this, let me just think here for a second. Yeah, it's making the spindle side pulley smaller radius. So the belt's trying to go in. So it naturally wants to go that way, so it's a lot easier to speed it up. When you're slowing it down, you're essentially forcing that belt farther and farther out on the pulley. Well, in order for it to push out on the pulley and stay tight, it's got to spread the back pulley on the motor apart, which is the pressure against the spring. As I said, snowmobile clutches work the same way. Most centrifugal clutches work in a similar manner. The difference is that instead of as the motor RPM goes up, the pulley automatically getting wider or narrower, this handle controls all of it. So the motor runs the same RPM all the time. It runs 1,725 RPM all the time. I guess you could double this up, make it a 6,000 RPM spindle if you put a 3,000 RPM motor on there. But what it does, I guess 3,400 RPM motor. So basically, yeah, you're widening those pulleys. I've never looked into how a Bridgeport variable speed works. I assume it's a similar setup, only a much more sophisticated belt tensioning mechanism. Because I would actually love this on the CNC mill. It would be really handy. Actually, on the CNC lathe, for that matter, it would be really handy. The problem is you end up with a little bit of belt slippage on this. Like, there was a lot of belt debris in here. Now, I don't know how much this thing was used. It might be a really thrashed belt. This thing may have drilled 10 million holes before I bought it. But the belt it only holds so tight with this setup. It's another reason you have to have it on when you rotate it, because in order to get that belt to walk back and forth on the pulleys, it has to be spinning, so each revolution it moves a little bit farther in or out. So yeah, that's how it works. I don't actually know why somebody hasn't made, and maybe somebody does, I haven't actually looked at all, a conversion kit for the little, like, Home Depot, Lowe's, Harbor Freight style benchtop drill presses. It seems like this would be an easy setup to actually make kind of universal. And it would make, I think, everybody's lives a lot easier to not have to change the belt position. So I'm actually gonna do a little bit of digging and see. Maybe somebody out there does make a conversion kit for just standard benchtop size drill presses. Maybe they don't. Maybe there's a reason they don't. Maybe just nobody ever has. Just seems like something somebody should make. Maybe I'll be that guy. I don't really want to get into building these kind of tools, but it just really seems like something to make a lot of people's lives a lot easier, to not have to pop that belt from pulley to pulley to pulley. Especially if you're drilling, say you want to drill a 3/4 inch hole, so you start with a pilot drill bit, then you step it up, then you go to your 3/4. To do that right, you probably need to go through every one of your pulley positions on that. On a standard drill press. So being able to just, went up to another drill bit size, I'll crank out another 400 or 500 RPM. That seems way easier to me, way easier. So this short video got long. I'm really looking forward to using this drill press. Probably do another video, I'd love to say next week, but let's face it, I don't get around to shit a lot of times as fast as I think I will. So I have a working drill press, that's part of it. I have a functional drill press. This is kind of a side project, so when I get to it, it'll get up on the bench. We'll get the other one yanked off, get this one in its place. And I'll shoot a video drilling some holes and kind of showing that progression of, when you go from a little drill bit to a bigger drill bit, why it's so nice to be able to crank out a little RPM. As you go up in size of the drill bit, you go down in your RPM. So thanks for watching. Thanks for checking it out. And comment below if anybody knows of a source. I really don't want to spend the time looking for somebody that makes a conversion kit, because I got one that works. But if somebody knows of a place that makes a conversion kit for the standard drill presses that have the multiple pulley positions, post it below. That'd be great to find out for somebody if they know that already. It would save me time of looking, and maybe somebody else a lot of hassle of trying to find one of these drill presses for a reasonable price. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.